First, they denied reports they were building dams on the famous S-bend where the waters of Tibet's Yarlung Sangpo turn to enter Arunachal Pradesh in India, where it's known as the Brahmaputra. The reports turned out to be true, raising concerns in New Delhi that China may at some point block the flow of the river into India. Now, reports in the Hong Kong media say China is working on plans to tap water from the Tibet plateau and divert it to neighboring Xinjiang province, which is predominantly a desert. Now, China has denied these reports, but here's what the reports say. The plan calls for the building of an underground tunnel 1,000 kilometers long. It will begin at the headwaters of the Yarlung Sangpo or Brahmaputra in Tibet. It will then go across the Tibet plateau into the Taklamakan desert in Xinjiang province. The idea is, of course, to make the desert bloom and grow crops. The plan is ambitious in scope, as most Chinese infrastructure plans tend to be, and Chinese engineers say all the technologies and some of the engineering skills required are not quite there just yet. But they believe this is something which can be realized in about a decade. That's just 10 years that we're talking about. And China's already testing some of those technologies in the Yunnan province bordering Myanmar, where it is building a 661-kilometer long underground tunnel. Remember, the reports we're talking about talks of a 1,000-kilometer long tunnel along the border. Now, that tunnel, the particular one along Myanmar's border, will bring water from the Yunnan Guizhou plateau to water-deficient central Yunnan. Now, reports quoted engineers as comparing this project to the U.S. diverting waters of the San Joaquin River to irrigate vast areas of the state of California. Now, the plan succeeded, but the river is perhaps the most heavily regulated in the world, resulting in mounting environmental and engineering problems. That just gives you an idea of what we're looking at in case China continues this plan of building that tunnel along the border with India. But the question really is China playing games when it comes to water or to the detriment of neighbors? That conclusion seems inescapable. Look at what's happening on the upper reaches of the Mekong River, Asia's 7th longest. The Mekong flows from China's Tibet plateau down to Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam and Laos, a distance of more than 4,300 kilometers. Now, 60 million people depend on it for a livelihood. Just look at the other dams that China has built. The Mekong Basin, of course, produces more than 100 million tons of rice, but China has already built a 990 megawatt dam in Yunnan and has plans for at least 11 more. Not one, not two, but 11 more. The idea is to send water from southern parts of China to the arid north, which is running out of water. In fact, even Beijing has crippling water problems. The water from here will then be diverted to cities like the capital Beijing, of course, that's seriously short of water. Typically, the Chinese government will not respond to questions about what will happen downstream. Government statements make the routine claim that the interests of those downstream will be kept in mind. But China, remember, does not recognize the rights of lower riparian countries. It doesn't even sign agreements with them. Its policy is all resources on Chinese soil belong to China. Now, China will not be contained, warned Beijing's ambassador to the United States, reacting to questions from journalists in Washington, D.C. His views about the plan to expand the India-Japan-US trilateral to a quadrilateral with the addition of Australia. He also warned against the proposed sale of advanced US weapons to India. Allegations about Russia meddling in the US elections have been around for some time now, with little to back them up. Now, though, the Mueller probe has struck pay dirt with two central characters to the drama. They are Paul Manafort, former manager of the Trump campaign, and George Papadopoulos, a former Trump campaign staffer. While Manafort has been his aide, or rather has been charged with conspiring to defraud the US through his dealings with Ukraine-based politicians, Papadopoulos has admitted that he lied to the FBI on his dealings with Russian officials. Manafort has been charged mainly for his work with the Ukrainian political party known for its deep ties to the Kremlin. Manafort and his aide worked with several Ukrainian politicians, including the pro-Putin leader Viktor Yanukovych. The charge sheet says that Manafort and his aide hid more than $75 million in offshore accounts in an attempt to avoid paying tax in the US. These funds include undisclosed cash, which puts Manafort in a rather awkward position. On the other hand, George Papadopoulos is the first Trump aide to plead guilty in this case. He reportedly lied to the FBI about a series of meetings that he planned and attended. While the White House has distanced itself from Papadopoulos by calling him a volunteer, some evidence suggests that he was trying to arrange a meeting between Donald Trump and Russia's President Vladimir Putin.